I have with me Housam Fares and Ayat Ayoub, who are Lebanese American. And both of you have some horror stories that I want you to share with our audience about what you've been dealing with in terms of your family in Lebanon. And Hossam, we'll start with you because you recently lost 15 members of your family in the south suburb of Beirut on September 20th. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what happened?
Uh, so it started on early morning here on a Friday. I received a call from a friend that there has been an airstrike next to your house. I started doing some phone calls. I didn't expect anything like to be bad. And then I received a voice note from my sister. She goes like, they've airstruck the building in front of us. And I lost connection with her for like an hour or two. Uh, then I started calling everyone, calling my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother. No one would answer. I even tried the landline. And then pictures on the news started coming in. The building, the whole residential building that my parents lived in, along with 70 other people, collapsed to the ground and it was turned into rubble. It was hard, it was devastating, and there was hope because, like, some people, because the news was vague at first, some people said like the whole building collapsed. Some people said like there were two or three stories in the building that were left. So there was some hope at first. And then we started looking at the news basically. Uh, I started contacting some of my family, starting to uh, see actually who was left. Uh, I called, so my sister did send a voice note. I thought my other sister was gone along with them, but what ended up happening was pretty much, I would say, a miracle. She was going up the stairs with my mother, and by the time they reached the house, she told her, "Go grab a couple of stuff from the store." And by the time she went to the how to like the building next to us, whole building was bombed, and she survived basically. My other sister, uh, also she left to her two daughters, and basically it was like 15 minutes, and she reached the place where she works at, and the incident happens.
Her children, her daughters were killed.
So unfortunately, it was not just her daughters. So of course, her daughters. In our house, there was my father, my mother, my sister, and her two children, two sons, and my brother, and the two kids that my sister left. Other than that, there was my wife's uncle, which we were neighbors for since we grew up. Basically, we grew up together. She also was on the first floor. My neighbor, she had two other kids. So total, it was devastating. Everything that you knew, everything where you grew up, people you grew up with, all your memories, everything was gone in a second.
And you were telling me earlier, I mean, the oldest child was 6 years old. Do you want to tell me their names? Tell me their names and how old they were.
So we will start with Fatima. Fatima. She's my sister's daughter. She was the eldest of the kids who were in the house. She was 6 years old. Uh, Her sister Farah, I think, she didn't make it. She was, uh, she was gonna be 3 years old in a couple months. Then we have Ali. Ali, he was like 5 years old. And we have Jalal, he just made it to 2 years old.
I'm so sorry. And then I'm curious if you could maybe walk me through some of what happened after, because you ended up going, you got on a plane as soon as you could, and you went to Lebanon to go figure out what happened, deal with the funerals.
So, a little bit of background about all of them. They were people who loved life, my dad was an ex-policeman. He was retired. He had his dream home up in the village. He used to take care of the land, take care of the plants. My mother, she was also a mother and a housewife,
Grandma.
and a
Amazing
grandmother,
grandma.
and a grandmother of 4 amazing kids, 5 and now 6 amazing kids with my son, who didn't get a chance to meet his grandparents. She used also to love going out into the wilderness, picking up the wild plants so she could make our mune, za'atar, zurat, all those special.
Green tea.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and she was also a village lover.
Do you wanna show me some photos?
Yes, of course.
Because I know you were showing me your parents earlier.
Yep. So,
I bet you've been looking at them a lot.
yeah, actually, it's hard to look at them. It's really. Oh, sorry.
No, don't
Yeah,
apologize.
it's.
Don't apologize.
So, we'll start with my parents. My parents.
What are their names?
Hamad, my father. I named my son after my dad.
Yeah.
And my mother, also Fatima. This is my brother.
He's so young.
Yep, he was 18.
A kid.
Yep. And this is with all the grandchildren. My granddad, my other granddad, with all the sons. And this is what. And
This is Fatima?
this is Fatima. This is my other nephew. This is my brother's son. But this is Fatima. This is Ali. This is Farah. And this is Jalal. And this is celebrating Father's Day.
With your dad. This is this year.
This is this year, yeah. So we could keep
No, you
on.
just said
This is my sister with her son.
She survived.
No.
No, she's the one who was killed
Yep.
with her 2 sons.
Yep. Yep.
And what's her name?
My name is.
Her name.
Sorry.
no, don't.
Yeah. Her name is Ruba.
Rubble.
Ruba Fares. My brother was Jalal. This is me and my mother. This is on my last trip to Lebanon.
Is that the south?
This is in our village,
Yes,
Marun
Marun
al-Ras. So I'm originally from Marun al-Ras, a border village that's next to Bint Jbel, if you know it.
It's been bombed. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could keep on and
They
on.
hang out
Yeah.
at the pool, enjoying life.
Yep, like this is Fatima.
هاي أنا اسمي فاطمة خلينا نشوف اليوم مين بده ينقذنا
She was talking to her uncle. This is Jalal,
Playing with bubbles.
playing with bubbles, just a young child, enjoying life while he had it. This is Fatima when she was younger.
Sleeping.
Yeah, she used to love working at the house.
Yeah.
This is how they looked like when they were at
Your parents.
my parents. This is Ali, Farah, Fatima, and Jalal.
They loved their grandma. They loved her. They would all 4 of them sit on her laps.
Yeah.
They would fight who would sit on her lap.
Yeah, yeah. She would take them to the mosque, all of them. They would run around.
They're really cute kids.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't they didn't appreciate the childhood and their
There's
hope.
this is Santa Claus. This is
Yep.
the Santa Claus
Yeah.
pajama. So when you watch, I mean, we can go through what happened afterwards, but when you've just shown me so many members of your family who've been killed in an Israeli airstrike on a residential building. And in that strike, the Israelis claimed that they had assassinated a member or a leader in Hezbollah.
Yep.
And that's how it probably got reported in the international media, in the U.S. media. And I'm curious, like, how it felt for you to see that be the way that the killing of your family was being portrayed to English-speaking audiences.
So the sad thing, it wasn't portrayed at all.
Oh,
It wasn't mentioned at all.
okay.
So to give you and the audience a little background, our building was a residential building. And the guy, the Hezbollah leader that they claimed they killed in that strike, was in the building in front of us. He wasn't even in the same building. And I would say a good thing that the building that he was in did not collapse. So only the parking structure was damaged. But our building, which had, as I mentioned, 70 people with all their memories, with all their love of life, they were shattered. Yep.
Do you know how many people were killed in that strike
Yeah.
in the building?
So in our building, there were 70 people.
Oh, 70 people were killed.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like 9 floors.
So-
and there's two.
Like no one, the
Two
building
homes
was like
each.
reduced to rubble. I know you were showing me photos of that as well.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah.
You went soon after
So
to Lebanon.
when I heard the news, it's sad when I was looking for the news. I was looking for some coverage about my parents who were never mentioned in like this in our U.S. media. When I tried looking for any channels that had any coverage, I only found like one or two. And all the headlines were just about the Hezbollah guy that was killed in the building. No mention of the 70 innocent lives that were in my building. 18 residential apartments were put to the ground, basically.
You must have been losing it when he went. It must have been very scary for you as well.
And even when, like, okay, I knew he was there with his, like, trying to help his sisters and his family who was left there, but he doesn't answer his phone a lot. So it's like, I just want to know that you're okay. And
this is September 20th.
but I was happy that he went, you know, like he needed closure. He needed to go. He needed to bury his family. He can't stay here and watch everything that's going on. I was very glad that he went. I pushed him to go too, like, go do whatever you need to do.
It's very supportive.
No, it's hard. Like, I would imagine it on myself, like my parents and me staying here. That would be crazy. Like he couldn't survive it. Like he couldn't live a normal life if he didn't go there.
So this is also happening in the context of, this is Friday, September 20th. It's after the pager attacks, after the walkie-talkies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later, you have Israel like this massive escalation, just carpet bombing massive areas across southern Lebanon. People are fleeing. You're there when this is happening. You
Yep.
went to go bury your family. You even, if you want to show me again, you were showing me photos of what your building looked like afterwards. It was completely reduced to rubble.
Yep.
And I know you were telling me that you were trying to find the they were trying, not you, they were trying to find remains, and it was so reduced to rubble that most people weren't intact. And then the ones who were, you had to identify bodies, and you're doing this in the context of an escalation of bombing around you.
Yes. Yeah. So I arrived.
Do you want to, feel free to, I actually would like to see real
of
quick
course.
I think it's important. It's just insane what was done to your building.
Yeah, it's
And this is like your childhood.
everything.
Yeah.
Memories.
Like my whole life was there. It's you stop looking at like the actual building, the stone and the mortar and everything. You only remember what you see between the rubble is the memories, the lives,
The
all,
neighbors.
yeah, basically it's your everyday life
Yeah.
that's in between that rubble.
Here was waiting. We were waiting for just some news.
So you went. So then you get there. You get there. You went to
Yeah.
the site of the bombing. This is the building you grew up
Yep.
in. How did it feel to see this?
Ah.
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, you could.
This is,
yeah, I think. So this was taken.
Nothing is standing, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah.
It's just
This
completely
was taken,
demolished.
I think, at 5 in the morning. We couldn't sleep. We were just looking for anything. It's so sad that whenever they're looking into the rubble,
Yeah.
because this was on the third day, whenever they were looking into the rubble, whenever like the excavator moves some of the rubble, you would know that there's someone there by the smell of death
Wow.
and the smell of,
Like the body.
Yeah.
Decomposed
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
yeah. It's so sad that this is a person that was 2 or 3 days ago, he was there, he was living his normal life, dreaming, having fun, crying, just enjoying their life.
And then it's all gone just
Yep.
like that. So you were also telling me about having to. First of all, there's a lot happening around you.
Yeah. So I arrived in Lebanon
Yeah.
on Sunday. It was Sunday. It was around 4 or 5 p.m. The first thing I arrived to was they were taking out my brother. I got to see him in the ambulance. He was like the first thing I saw right when I first arrived. By the time I was there, they took out my parents, mother and father. They took out my sister. They took out my brother on the spot. The two little girls and Fatima and Farah and
Ali.
yeah, and Ali. They were still looking for Jalal.
Did they ever find Jalal? No.
No.
And what did you see with what you did see? If you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
So you arrived to this scenery, your brother in the ambulance. Sorry. And then you have to take it and start looking for a burial ground to your parents. Try to give them what they wished for when they were alive. Even when they were dead, I couldn't grant them their wish of them being buried in their village. We were trying to go and bury them in Marun al-Ras, my village, but that wasn't possible because the Israelis started bombing everywhere, and it wasn't safe for us to go out there and try to bury them. After that, the next day, we started like trying to take them out of to take him out of the hospital where they were being kept. They needed someone to recognize them. I had to go to the hospital and recognize what remained of every single person of my family. There were no actual markings. We would recognize them by what they were wearing, by the jewelry. Yeah. And
All those beautiful babies you showed me?
yep. Those babies, who the oldest was 7. And we were trying to give them closure, as I mentioned, but and this is just us.
Yeah.
In the building, there were 20 babies.
20 it was
Total.
20
20
children.
20 children total. And what hurts most, what really, what really is sad, that they were never mentioned. As I will mention this a lot, but it's part of their injustice is they were not mentioned by any news. No one knew about them. People like us knew about them. Who knew them knew about them. But the message hasn't been sent that this happened to some innocent people, innocent families who loved life, who had dreams.
And you were telling me when we were talking that since then, I mean, you have a sister who lost her children, who's been displaced. Everyone's been displaced, right? Because after that, the Israelis started bombing Dahieh, so everybody started leaving from there if they survived and going other places. And then they've been bombing displaced people in other places. And your sister who fled to one area, there was a bombing right nearby her. So it's just trauma after trauma after trauma.
The weird thing is, the sad thing is, me being there for 2 weeks, we didn't get a chance to grieve. Like the loss, at least for me, was so huge, and still I couldn't grieve because like there's always something going on. Like whenever I mentioned earlier that I wanted to bury my parents in their home village and fulfill their wish. We at first we didn't have a burial spot to bury them, and we found a spot. We go like, okay, we'll bury them at 4. We set
This
like
is still in Beirut, right?
this is on Tuesday. On Tuesday, I believe it's
24th, maybe.
yeah. The incident happened on Friday. I was there on Sunday, and we were burying on Tuesday. After all the process that we went through just to get them out of the hospital and get them ready for the burial, we wanted to do some rituals and say a final goodbye. We set the time at I think it's for 4 p.m. and at 3:20 there was an airstrike. I think it was like 30 or 40 meters away from the burial ground. So we forgot. Our hope was, when I first went back there to Lebanon, is to give my parents the best thing, the best burial, best ceremonies that I could possibly have.
Yeah.
And by the end of that day, my only hope was just to bury my parents. And so when the airstrike happened, we usually pray. We usually pray on before we bury our parents. And this is them. It was like 10 people. We put them in front of us. We just put them there. It was like, what, 10 people? And we had to bury them.
Very fast.
Yeah, just
You
because
couldn't even do what you
nothing.
traditionally would do.
Nothing. We just actually I had to actually bury 8 of my family members. I couldn't stay for even like 10 minutes because the authorities asked us to leave because it wasn't safe there anymore. So even the burial, we couldn't bury our.
So it's just one
loved
injustice
ones.
after another. It's one
Yeah.
injustice after another. I want to ask you to respond to this because, after it was a few days later after you had to do this burial that Hassan Nasrallah was killed with 85,000 tons, or 85 bunker buster bombs, right? And it took out 6 residential buildings full of people. And Kamala Harris and Joe Biden both released statements, and they called that assassination a measure of justice. That's a direct quote, a measure of justice, without, of course, mentioning any of the people who were killed. Similar to like the reaction that you got when you saw the media coverage of just, some Hezbollah guy was killed, end of story. So I'm just curious, this terminology, measure of justice, or when they're just like human shields for Hezbollah, because that's what they say. How does that make you feel?
So it's similar to our story. I've went to where the incident happened, to where the airstrike happened, and unfortunately, I was close when all this happened. We were having supper, we were having dinner with my cousins at my cousin's place. We had children laying around and playing, and all of a sudden we hear the airplane, and we start to hear a bomb after another, and we could feel the actual wind blowing from all the airstrikes. We were like, I felt at that moment, I felt helpless. What if one of the bombs mistakenly hit me? Or intentionally? I don't know. Yeah, so when that happened, out of curiosity, I went there to the place where the incident happened. I think 2 days after it happened. It was, I think, so I've been to the area before, and I've been to the area after. It was like 6 buildings, and it's more with the buildings that have been damaged. It was everywhere. It was like a playground with rubble everywhere. So my question is, this is justice. These are first people lived there. People, it's similar to my story. People lived there. People played there, and all of a sudden you say that this is justice,
measure of justice.
a measure of justice.
Who assigns them to say if this is justice or not? Killing people is called justice. What's happening in Gaza is justice.
You two are both from a village called Marun al-Ras, which is on the border with Israel, northern Palestine. And you have a history, you specifically have a history of Israeli violence there. Not this time around, but the last time around, 2006. Can you tell me what happened in 2006 in Marun al-Ras when you were there?
Yeah, so I was with my mom and 4 brothers, and we usually go there every summer. So we live in Beirut most of the time, and then all the summer we spend it بمارون الراس. We were there when Harb Tammuz happened.
That's what we call the 2006
Six
war.
war,
Yes.
So at first, I was 12 back then. I had no idea what war was. I never understood what it was. Like, I thought they would fight on the border. I never knew, like, planes would come at you and strike bombs. I was at my grandparents' house from my mom's side, and my mom was at my dad's side. And I was talking to them. I'm like, what's happening? And they started explaining, and I got so scared. I'm like, I need to go to my mom. I started crying.
Aww.
Please take me to my mom. They took me to my mom, and like one thing after another, we couldn't get out of the village. We
late.
couldn't leave. Yeah, they were bombing people on the roads. It wasn't safe. We're like, we'll just stay here. We stayed with my grandparents from my mom's side. We stayed most of the war there, like until the last, what's hidden in English?
Pause of fire.
Yeah, like ceasefire.
Well, ceasefire, yeah.
The last one, they gave 2, I think, during the Harb Tammuz. Yeah, the last one we were able to leave. But during that time, the Israeli soldiers were able to enter our village. We were taken hostage inside my grandparents' house with, I think we were over 40 people. Because like a lot of people didn't leave. We weren't able to leave. A lot of us don't have cars. Like usually people from their, like they use other people's cars and go get their stuff. Like my grandpa had one car and it wasn't working. So,
So you couldn't leave.
We weren't able to leave. Yeah. And then they took us hostage inside my grandparents' house. They were over 200 soldiers.
Wow.
My grandparents' house is 2 floors. They were everywhere.
Inside?
Inside,
Outside?
outside, around the house, on the street from like down the house, and they put us all in one room, the women and children all in one room, and they took the men upstairs. They had to they tie them up, and they had to search them, and they left them in a room upstairs in like the second floor. They stayed with us, I think, like a couple days, and one morning we wake up, there's no one. We didn't even feel them leave.
Oh,
Yeah, it was weird. Then my grandma was standing on a hill close to the house, and she got shot.
they shot her.
They shot her. Yeah.
Like sniper shot her?
I don't know if
Or
it was
like up close, or
it was like the bullet crossed her back, like it came like from one side to another. Yeah, they bombed the bathroom when we were inside the house. We were still inside the house. That's before they entered. It's a very long story, so
no, I
I'm
can't even
giving you, like,
imagine. You were
snippets
basically
of
like
it.
under siege in your own home
It's,
by Israeli
and
soldiers.
like you're young, you don't understand what's happening, and you. It was terrifying.
Were
Like
they speaking
now,
to you in Arabic? Like,
they all understand Arabic.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They like a lot of them were able to speak with us Arabic. Some of them English, because we told them that we were U.S. citizens. My mom had her driver's license with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We don't have we don't usually take our passports with us to the like we're not traveling from there. We keep them in Beirut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had her driver's license. So like. She
So she
told
could
them,
prove to
yeah,
them.
she gave them proof that we were U.S. citizens. They offered us to, like, they told us we could take you to Israel and you can leave from there.
Wow.
My mom told them, no, I'm not leaving. Yeah, and
So they were scared to like harm you specifically,
Yeah,
because you have American
imagine
citizenship.
leaving your whole family and like
course, yeah.
just going. She wouldn't accept. She was like, no, I'm not leaving. She was pregnant at the time.
Wow,
Yeah, she
okay.
lost her baby.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And we were all kids, like everybody, like all the parents had like 4 or 5 kids. We
Yeah.
were all like 10, 11, 12. My brothers were 8 and 9. My youngest brother was like 4. Yeah, so
And where's your family? I mean, I know your siblings are displaced. Your family, I mean, Maruna Ras is right on the border. So it's been, you were telling me earlier, like 20% of it before this latest escalation, because of the tit for tat since October 8th, was already destroyed.
yeah.
Now, do you have any idea what the situation is with the buildings there? I'm sure, I mean, it's on the border, so.
Every time there's like satellite images somebody sends or receives, you look around and see. So both of my grandparents' houses are blown up on the floor. Yeah,
I'm so
the
sorry.
mosque, like the Daya mosque. Next to it is the graveyard. A lot of it has rubble in it. What else? A lot of houses in Maruna Ras are. Yeah.
And where's your family? Just scattered?
Yeah, I have some of my relatives are in the north, someone to Iraq, someone to Syria, so they're everywhere. Some are still in Beirut too, so.
And you guys, of course, are also American. You're here in the US watching this, and you've experienced, I mean, the worst that can possibly happen has happened to you. And I guess just before we end here, I want to ask you, because I know a lot of Lebanese Americans and Palestinian Americans as well, this has been a really difficult time, just, constantly watching the news, just worried about our loved ones, right? Yeah. So I'm just curious if you can speak to that, to how it is. How do you get through the day? You have to go to work, you have to raise a kid.
So let me, at least for me, my day starts, usually people start their day with like a cup of coffee, with just maybe reading a newspaper, listening to a podcast, whatever. My whole day, my day starts with me opening the phone and start looking to news.
Yeah.
Where has it been? Where has any airstrikes been? Do I know any loved ones there?
Yeah.
If so, I have to call are you guys okay? This is a good day.
They answer because they answer.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just see like there's an airstrike somewhere, and this happened like a lot of times. So you open and okay, there's these loved ones in this particular place, and you go like, there's no answer, and all of a sudden you hear that this person has unfortunately passed away. Yeah, and you hear this news. It's unfortunate and sad that you hear this news. Oh, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but you hear it regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our day. Whenever I'm at work, I'm doing my work and just scrolling through the news, waiting on notifications, because it's not safe. And
And you still have a lot of loved ones there. Like a lot of family members are still in Lebanon. They can't leave. They won't leave. It's their land. They're not going to leave. I mean, it's their right to be there. And we're here sitting, just waiting.
plus, there is no safe place. Like I mentioned my sister earlier, and she had to flee to considerably what's considered a safer place. She went to a place called Tariq Jdidi, and
It's a neighborhood in Beirut.
yep, a neighborhood in Beirut, and it was considered safer. And that happened when I was there. They go like, has been an airstrike on Kola. I go like, Kola's close to the Tariq Jdidi. When I call my sister, I find out that the airstrike happened 5 buildings.
Not blocks, yeah, buildings.
Yeah, 5 buildings away from where my sister lived. My brother-in-law, who lost his wife and 2 sons, Ali and Jalal, he moved with his parents because he also took care of his parents and his sister, and like they are a big family, and they tried to flee to one of the safer places in Beirut, and another building was bombed. I think it was like 20 meters away. Yeah, even hospitals are not safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this was one of the incidents that happened to me when I was down there. A cousin of mine, which her name is Alia Ahmed, she worked at the hospital, and she was taking her break on the hospital's entrance, and the Israelis decide that it's okay to hit next to the hospital, and she got a small piece of metal that entered her abdomen.
Oh gosh.
They tried to treat her, but unfortunately, Alia passed away that night.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this story happened on a daily basis. There is nowhere safe, and the unfortunate thing is, if and this is where I'll get back to the media coverage. Unfortunately, the media does not cover what is going on there. They don't cover the injustice. They might get the headline news some of the times, and if they do, they don't cover the whole story. And if they cover some of the story, they cover a bunch of numbers. Oh, 20 people were killed here, 30 people were killed there. These are not numbers. These are amazing people that also had dreams, that also loved life.
And sorry, here's your son, Muhammad, named after your father.
Yeah.
He's so cute. He's trying to smile. He wants to smile. Hi. Hello, baby.
Yeah, this is my son, Muhammad,
He's beautiful.
named after his granddad, who he didn't get to see because of the injustice.